What up, though, Field G's? Welcome back to Lukegsfieldreview as we get ourselves ready to do a live game preview for the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Detroit Lions. And let me just tell y'all, I am so excited to be doing this. If you've been around my channel, you know I have already worked with this man on a number of different videos where we've talked about different things. And we had agreed that when this game come around, we was going to talk about it. And, you know, he held it to his end of the deal. And sure enough, he showed up and he's here. I'm talking about ANDREWSFOOTBALL. Andrew, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm sitting here living the dream, Luke. Hey, man, thanks for having me on. Really excited about being with you guys, man. I mean, man, I can't tell you how much I love your show. The one thing I love about you, man, is you know your stuff. You're not just some fanboy. You're not sitting here telling me the Lions are going to win every game by 50 points, man.
No. No, we can't have that lie going around. We can't do that one. And here on the field review, we want to make sure that we're covering the facts. The opinions matter, but the opinions matter if you can add facts to them. And if you're paying attention, yes, you will notice that Andrew is on the Kansas City Chiefs side because he's going to represent the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm going to represent the Detroit Lions, and we're going to discuss this game. We're going to discuss how do we see this game going, what would need to happen for each team to win, for each team to lose. Each one of those things is going to be a factor in this game. So, I'm just excited to get this thing going. And I'm telling you, if you have not subscribed to his channel, it is in my description, as well as the other DSA members. So make sure you go on there, click on that link, and subscribe to the channel. So let's get to this, man. I mean, Detroit Lions is getting ready to play the Kansas City Chiefs at home. I mean, what are your initial thoughts when now that you look up and you realize you guys are undefeated? The Lions technically are undefeated, even though they have a tie. Nonetheless, they don't have a loss, so they're undefeated. What is your initial thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts was that we got the Lions at the wrong time. I didn't want to get the Lions early in the season. I wanted to get the Lions late in the season. I was really worried about this game. This game really scared me because I thought the Lions would enter this game at 1-2. All right. I thought you guys would win against the Cardinals. I thought you'd drop the next two, and I thought this would be a trap game. But the Lions really scare me. This is a really good team. People here in Chiefs country don't understand the same thing that you guys know. The Lions have a good team. This is a team I'm really scared about. I'm gonna let you know now. I expect to win, but the Lions have a really good team. This is not a game. We can't come out there and play a C game and beat you guys.
No, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. I think that that if the Lions are going to have to hold up to their end of the deal, then they're going to have to use the things that they have at their advantage. You're talking about the having a crowd. The home field is going to be crazy. Undefeated for the first time since 2017, and we're at home against what would be a game that makes a statement to the media and to everybody that says we're here and we should be taken seriously. It's one of the things where you can't overlook the importance of it. I do think they take care of it. I know that you think those Kansas City Chiefs is going to get that win, but I think my Lions is going to get a win. And I feel confident in the Lions getting that win. So let's talk about that part of it because as we go through and look at this game, it's a lot to take in,
Oh, it's a great matchup. I mean, you got two really good teams. I mean, technically, they're two undefeated teams. So, I mean, this is going to be a great game. I'm kind of bummed out it's at noon. This should be the primetime game, but that's hey, it didn't work out that way. But as far as noon games, I think this is the best game. I mean, does anybody really want to watch Bills Patriots? I mean, come on.
Right. I mean, and they're getting so much love that it's ridiculous. You would think that that it would be bigger than that. I know that they came out with power rankings for the unbeatens, and the Lions were last in the power rankings for the unbeaten teams. And we're gonna have a chance to shut up some critics and shut some things down. So let's get right into it, man. So when you look at this game, who on the Detroit Lions scare you? Like, what is that one player that scares you? Because I know who's the one player on the Kansas City Chiefs who scares me.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that because it's the same position, and even though you know, right before the show started, we heard about Stafford being hurt. Stafford's going to play, and not only do I think Stafford's going to play, I think he's going to have a big game. He needs to have a big game. Stafford to me is key. Now, keep in mind, this is a pace game. The faster the pace, the better it is for the Chiefs. The slower the pace, the better it is for the Lions. And you guys are going to run the ball, and I think you're going to have some success on the ground game. But the number one player that scares me is Matthew Stafford, and he needs to have a huge game. He needs to have his A game.
And I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's who scares me. Believe it or not, is the quarterback, because I know that he can create plays with his feet. And when you can create plays with your feet, then you already know what's going. Excuse me, y'all got to excuse me. I'm still working over my little cold. So, but when you can extend plays and do things with your feet, I think you're right. If they can slow this game down, it goes in the favor of the Lions. For me, you're right. If they speed it up, we got problems, because now that means that our defense is out there longer. They got to run around more. No, we need to condense that game and shut it down to where it's just a slower game. So Patrick Mahomes definitely puts a little fear in my heart, but it's more of the Mahomes to Travis Kelce connection that bothers me the most. You know,
this Chiefs team's got a lot of weapons, but you know, it touched base again on the pace, and this is going back in time, but. Do you remember that first Patriots Super Bowl when they went up against the greatest show on turf? How did they beat them? They slowed the game down. They beat us up. They beat the Rams up. They played physical. It's the same type of matchup right here. You got a physical team versus a fast, and I hate to say it, but the Chiefs are a finesse team.
And listen, I see it right now. Like, we got a message right here from Chiefs fans 515. Chiefs Kingdom is the best. He says, who is Slay gonna guard? That's the thing. Slade needs to only guard his guy. It's not like you guys have this. If Tyreek Hill was out there, he would be going everywhere Tyreek Hill goes.
You know what? He needs to stay on Watkins. I'm kind of in minority here. I think Watkins is actually a better receiver than Hill, but Hill provides that punt return threat in that deep speed. But as far as being a pure receiver, Watkins is the guy. Watkins is our number one receiver.
Well, and I feel like Watkins is not that big of a threat to the point where we got to make we got to make our best cornerback follow him. I don't think that's the case. I think that we don't have to travel with him. He's somebody who's been inconsistent. I know he had a good game coming out the gates, but overall, he's somebody that I'm not worried about. He's, I see the Chiefs fans in the building. Shout out to you Chiefs fans, man. I'm glad that you guys are here. And I'm also glad that you guys are enjoying the show, man. Make sure you hit those likes, get those likes up for us. And we really appreciate it. And if you have not subscribed to Andrews Football, man, you need to make sure you do so. It is linked in my description. So I really do appreciate it. But as you can see right now, man, listen, they out in full force. McCole Hardman is the wide receiver they better watch out for. and this is the thing. When you listen to the fans talk, they always talk about these weapons you guys get, but they don't realize we got weapons.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you something here, and I'm kind of switching gears here, but we got the best tight end in football, but in 2 or 3 years from now, the best tight end in football is going to be in Detroit, that Hawkinson kid that you guys got. And that's another thing that you did is you called that back in February. Me and you talked, and you're like, man, Chiefs are going to, or the Lions are going to take this kid. I'm like, are you sure he's going to go at 7? I love this Hawkinson kid.
Man,
I think he's going to have a big game.
Yeah, he's definitely phenomenal, man. And it's one of them things where you have to be able to look at it and understand that it's not going to be a game that many of us are going to want to not keep our eyes on. Both teams are undefeated. But when I look at the weapons, the first thing that jump out to me is this. I look at our defense. I know our defense can play with you guys. Your defense is still kind of new, okay? And on top of it being new, y'all have let every team y'all played run on y'all. pretty much. And if we can get the run game going, which I do think we will do, we will get that run game going. I think what you find what end up happening is we have a better chance of establishing. Now, again, I got a strange way of explaining it, but I think it makes sense. So first of all, we got the home field advantage, which means we got the home crowd.
Now, I fully expect that what's it called? Is it still called Ford Field up there?
Yep, Ford Field.
Yep. Man, that's going to be a great environment. It should be loud. It should be pumped up, and you guys really should be excited. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about the Detroit Lions right now. I'm really surprised that the media isn't jumping on Detroit, but and you know, I'm kind of talking a little trash here, but there's nothing wrong with being 2-1-1.
No, that's a good record.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's a good record. Absolutely. Again, I am on with Andrews Football. We are just having our discussion that we kind of made a little pact that we was going to do this and talk about this matchup. So, tell me this. How does Kansas City win this game? Because I can tell you how the Lions win it, but tell me how does Kansas City win it?
It's actually pretty simple how the Chiefs win this game. This offense can put up 30 on anybody. The Chiefs offense, you got to realize something. Last year, the Chiefs had the third highest scoring offense of all time. I mean, here's the thing. While Mahomes is under that rookie contract, we can go ahead and we gave Tyreek Hill $54 million extension. Sammy Watkins, he's going to get he's not going to be a Chief next year because he's due about $21.5 million. Travis Kelce's under contract for I want to say he's making like $12 million this year. While you got Mahomes, you got all these weapons. All right. The question is, can the D just make a few plays? Do we get a turnover? Do we get a sack? Do we stop you guys just once or twice? Because this offense, I don't think people understand and really can respect that. While Mahomes is under this rookie contract, you're not looking at a great offense like this is going to be a good offense. You're looking at one of the best offenses with Andy Reid being one of the best play callers of all time, a future Hall of Fame coach. You're looking at one of the greatest offenses of all time. I mean, this is going to be ranked right up there with, the Air Coryell offense, the greatest show on turf, the 84 Marino year. Now, keep in mind, they lost that Super Bowl that year. Hopefully. True. But you're looking at, until we give Mahomes that $200 million. Mahomes, it's just a matter of time before Mahomes becomes the highest paid player in the NFL. It's just a matter of time. But while you got him on the rookie contract,
they're projected to be 240,000
of all time. So the D just has to make a few plays. We just have to make a few plays. But am I going to sit here and say we going to walk into Ford Field and hold the Lions the 10, 13 points? That's not going to happen. But can we get a turnover? Can we stop you guys a few times? That's got to be key, because we just got to stop you guys just once or twice, because this offense is one of the best offenses you'll ever see.
Well, I think that one of the things you have to kind of do is look at is Andy Reid has always had this type of thing going. He's had the good quarterback. He's had the Donovan McNabbs and so forth and so on. He's done this before, and the Lions have successfully played him very well. One of the things I expect to see from the Lions and how we're going to win this game is we will run the ball. That run would now force you to come up in the pocket, which means that we'll be able to have a play action game, and we'll be able to hit you over the top. Your cornerbacks, I mean, let's be honest. Your biggest cornerback is what? 5-6 feet even. I mean, our receiver.
We have some holes in our secondary, and
right.
And that's the thing. I think if we come in there now, the Chiefs defense, I know we getting kind of trashed about, but this defense will get better as the year goes along. That's why I didn't want to play the Lions early in the year, but you guys are going to score points. You're going to make some plays, but can you keep up with an offense like this?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, let's be honest. Let's be honest, Andrew. Let's be honest. When we go through and we look at what's going on, the Kansas City Chiefs defense won't even be the best defense we've faced thus far.
Oh, it should. No. It's a matter of fact, this Chiefs defense is probably right now the worst defense that you guys have faced.
So I expect for us to expose that. I think the biggest thing is while I can see us putting some extra bodies on top of y'all tight end Kelsey, I think on your side of it, y'all going to have to put some bodies on our tight ends. And if you don't, now we're going to have the tight end show. And I think our tight ends finish out better because guess what? You can't take none of your safeties and put them on TJ Hockenson. I mean, your best safety is the Honey Badger. And me and you talked off air. We talked about it. He has not played like a Honey Badger. He's been playing more like
he's been a regular Badger.
He's more like a bunny rabbit.
He hasn't played up yet. And I'm hoping that as the year goes along, he'll play better. Now, I mean, I want to be very clear. I mean, the Lions are going to score some points, but I just don't see a way that the Lions can outscore Kansas City. You got to play ball control. You got to run the ball. You got to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands because I'm telling you right now, if you double team Kelsey, then you leave a one-on-one opportunity on Watkins, and if you put your best corner on Watkins, we got DeMarcus Robinson. He's already scored 4 touchdowns. You know, we got Miracle Hardman. He had like a 90-yard touchdown last week. This team is just absolutely loaded on offense. I'm telling you right now, you're going to play some great offenses. I mean, you guys got Aaron Rodgers, so you've seen greatness here.
And the Vikings, I think they got a good offense. But I think
Vikings got a good offense too.
I think one of the things that you have to
different beast. This is going to go down as one of the all-time greatest offenses that you'll ever see.
Well, I think one of the things, and I see that the Chiefs fans bring up the point about them stopping the run and things like that. I think that's the problem. I think that this is going to be one of them games where it should have been a primetime game. It should have been flexed to a primetime spot because
it really should.
You're going to get the weapons. You're going to get those weapons, and when those weapons occur, you're going to have it. You're going to have it in such a way where it's not going to be a shootout. I think people are expecting a shootout. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think the Lions make sure y'all don't run the ball, okay? And with the Lions not running the ball. With y'all not being able to run the ball, I think now the Lions say, okay, take away y'all short game. That's the tight end. And when they take away that short game, now you're forced to do what I call low percentage plays, and that's throw those deep bombs down the field. That goes into our favor because the longer that ball travels through the air, the longer it's in the air, the better chance we have of picking it off. That's one. Two, you don't want to give our quarterback too much time back there. So if we can't touch your quarterback, fine. I don't expect for y'all to do too much touching of us neither. I mean, you may get your 2 sacks, but outside of that, I think we're going to still be able to control the clock, and I think that we're going to be able to establish ourselves on defense to confuse y'all quarterback. And I think if that happens, this win comes out a little bit different than many people may think. I think I've been picking the Lions to win this game since the schedule came out. It is because of where they're playing at and how early it is. I expect for us to show out in force as fans, and I expect for us to cause all type of ruckus. And to me, when I look at it, I'm not worried about LaShawn McCoy. I'm not worried about Sammy Watkins, and I'm not worried about Hartman. I'm more worried about the tight end. Eliminate the tight end and eliminate your ability to run the ball. I think y'all become one-dimensional and y'all play right into their hands. They're going to do the same thing that happened to you guys against the Patriots where they made y'all one-dimensional.
Yeah, you could say that, but don't forget we put up 31 against the Patriots.
True.
Here's a guy you haven't mentioned yet. We got this kid, DeMarcus Robinson. He's been on the roster for a couple years. We actually drafted him the same year we drafted Tyreek Hill. We actually drafted him first because he was a 4th-round pick. Tyreek Hill is a 5th-round pick. This is a guy who had all sorts of problems at Florida. A lot of teams thought he was undraftable, but he had 1st-round talent. This is a big guy. He's got 4. I think he's got 4 touchdowns already. He had this great one-handed catch. I mean, this is a big guy with speed. I'm a little surprised that you don't fear Watkins because this Watkins is a #1 wide receiver. I mean, this is a really good player. With the problem with this Chiefs offense, you can't double team anybody because if you double team somebody, you give them a good opportunity to get beat because there's so many weapons. I think that what you got the thing is with this offense, with this Chiefs offense, You can't stop them. You just got to slow them down. And you said everything the correct way. You got to run the ball. Stafford's going to have a big game. I know he's on the injury report or whatever. I told you this before the show. He's tough as a 99-cent steak. I mean, I love this guy. I'm still in shock that Lions media and there's some Lions media and some Lions fans that don't like Stafford. I am floored by this. Because this is a guy who I absolutely love. I love Stafford. I'm not keeping I've been watching him since he was a freshman at Georgia. So I mean, I love Stafford.
Yeah, I think most people don't realize that, they look at the record, they look at the history of the Lions, and automatically it's the quarterback's fault. And they don't get it. And I think if they took the second to think about it, they would totally understand it. But that brings me to the next question. I mean, we talk about these different weapons that's on the teams for the Lions and for Kansas City. But what is Kansas City's biggest weakness? I can tell you the Lions' biggest weakness, but what is Kansas City's biggest
weakness is definitely the defense. I mean, I already touched base. We gave a lot of money to Honey Badger. We gave $100 million, and Chiefs media and Chiefs fans trashed me because I was not happy with giving up a first this year and a second next year for Frank Clark. I thought it was way too much. I mean, he's had a few sacks. He's a good player, but he's not worth $100 million and a first and a second. I mean, case in point, we gave up D Ford for a 2020 second, and then we give a first and a second for Frank Clark, who's not that much of a better player. And so the defense is a work in progress. I think it's the worst defense that you guys have seen all year. They're not terrible. This isn't the 32nd ranked defense, and they got some good players. I do think we get a few sacks on the day, but with the offense being as good as it is, we don't need the 85 Bears defense. You know what I'm saying? But the defense really needs to get better, and they will. They'll get better. That's why getting the Lions this early in the season is really an advantage for Detroit, not Kansas City. So our defense is really got to step up. I think we need to make some plays this game.
And for me, I think that's the same thing I see as y'all weakness as well. I think that the matchups between our tight ends versus y'all linebackers and y'all safeties, we come out on top in that department, just like I think y'all tight ends versus our linebackers can come out on top. So if I were to give a push there, now the question becomes whose secondary can hold down whose receiving core. I think our secondary match up really well with our receiving core. Y'all have been cutting teams up because they've been playing a whole lot of zone. We're going to play man coverage.
Well, Baltimore tried playing man on us, and they made a big mistake. But hopefully you guys don't do the same thing that Baltimore did for your sake. Baltimore, for some reason or another, had success running the ball. Then they wanted to try to get up tempo and try to play a shootout with us. And this is not the team you want to get into a shootout with, especially if you have a good running game. That's something the Ravens got away from. If the Lions win the game, they can't get in a shootout with us.
And I think that's the point. I don't want them to get in the shootout. I just look at it and I say, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of talking about the man coverage. But the difference between what we do, in terms of our man coverage and what Baltimore did was Baltimore was trying to do their man coverage while sending these elaborate blitzes. We're not going to do that. They're going to challenge our D line to collapse the pocket on Patrick Mahomes, and if they can succeed in collapsing that pocket on him, forcing him to throw it in uncomfortable, uncompromising positions, I think they look at that as a win. They're going to win their one-on-one individual battles versus what happened with Baltimore. And plus, with Baltimore, it came down to the quarterback needing to make a few more plays, and unfortunately, Lamar didn't get that done. But for me, the biggest weakness for me right now on the Detroit Lions, in all honesty, is the run blocking in our run game. If we can't run the ball, it's going to be a long day.
That we both agree on. And another thing that, and I haven't even touched base, and I should have touched base with this before we got on, is that we have our backup left tackle, Cam Ervin, in there. He did give up a sack, but he played pretty decent against Baltimore. But you're our left tackle, and me and you both know how important this is. The casual fan, they don't really pay attention to the offensive line.
No.
Left tackle position is one of the most important positions in football. We got a backup out there. Now, he played pretty well. He gave up a sack early, but he played pretty well, but he is a backup. And that's something I really worry about because Detroit has a really good defense, especially the front. And that's something that really scares me because if you do get after Mahomes, I mean, let's face it, is there a quarterback who could throw the ball when he's laying on his back?
And that's the thing that's going to be the biggest task for the Lions this week. For the last 2 weeks, nobody has been touching Stafford. It's crazy to say it, but they're getting ready to hit some unprecedented territory here by going 3 weeks without giving up a sack. I think that is not going to happen. But if that happens, y'all got more problems than y'all think because now we come out in that personnel, the 11 personnel with the 2 tight end sets.
That's how you beat Kansas City, is it? And I fully expect that. I wouldn't even be surprised if you guys came out and lined up in goal line and just tried to run the ball right down our throat. I mean, you know, that 11 personnel, if you watch the AFC Championship game, that's exactly what New England did. They just ran the ball right down our throat. And that's how you beat the Chiefs. You got to run the ball. You got to control the clock. Don't try to get in a shootout with us because there's no team that can really win a shootout with us. And I know it sounds like a fanboy. It sounds cocky.
No, I mean, no, it makes sense. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, but the defense is a smaller defense. Unfortunately, it's a defense you can run against, and that's going to be key. You got to run the ball, but Stafford still has to have a big game.
Yeah, and I think Stafford will, but I think if we don't get that run game going, it's gonna be a long day. I mean, when I look at y'all defense, I know y'all got Chris Jones, I know y'all got Frank Clark. I think y'all gonna want y'all money back from Frank Clark real soon. But you know,
he's playing better. We got an unsung guy, Kano Passanio. We call him K-Pass. We drafted him a couple years ago, and for some reason or another, guy's like 6'6", 6'7", 300 pounds. For some reason, we wanted him to play outside linebacker. I don't know why we wanted a 300-pound man to play outside linebacker. I didn't get it. But
that's Andy Reid for you.
Yeah, so we switched to this 4-3 defense. He's had a couple sacks. He's actually looked really good. We got a lot of guys on the defensive line, but like I said, it's a work in progress. If we would have played you guys in November and December, I would have said, watch out. Because we playing you guys early in the year, the defense still hasn't gelled yet. We haven't got everything together. Our linebacking core is mediocre. And it's kind of a shame because we invested some money into these guys and we haven't seen the production yet.
Well, that's what I think. I think that we run the ball, we establish our tight ends. I expect for you to see Jesse James' name called a lot and TJ Hockenson. I think that the big knock on you guys is when we went against the Eagles, they had the safeties that can run with our tight ends. And they had to take the safeties with a little height and a skill set. I don't think y'all got those safeties. I also look at this too, and I say, okay, how do the Lions really keep Patrick Mahomes off the field? And I said the answer is sustaining longer drives and winning the third down battle. I think y'all third downs are going to be way more challenging because guess what? I have been to games when Lions were undefeated, and I'm telling you, I couldn't hear my own thoughts. It'd be that loud. Like, it's horrible.
I will tell you something. As a Chiefs season ticket holder for 30 years, I'm used to loud stadiums, and that's one thing I don't think will be an issue with the Kansas City Chiefs is adapting to the noise. And another thing you got to think about, the Chiefs do throw the ball downfield. It's funny. Some Raiders fan tried to troll me saying all Patrick Mahomes does is throw the ball up for grabs. Patrick Mahomes is completion percentage is over 71%. I mean, this is a highly accurate quarterback. This guy isn't just a guy with a big arm. Everything from the neck up is perfect. This guy's got near photographic memory. He has a good grasp of the offense. The Andy Reid play calling. Now, maybe I'm too much of a Chiefs fan here, but is there a better offensive mind in football than Andy Reid? I mean, you could say Sean McVay if you want. But for me, it's Andy Reid, and that's going to be key. Is because, and you talked about this on your show yesterday, the coaching matchup. You know, you got one of the best offensive minds in football. Patricia's a good defensive mind. Does he have enough weapons to match up with what's going to be one of the greatest offenses in the history of the NFL.
I think he does. Now, look, folks, we have 65 people in the chat, 23 thumbs up. Let's get those likes up. Also, make sure you check my description so you can subscribe to Andrews Football if you have not. I want you to subscribe to him. I watch this stuff. He talks everything, point spreads. He talks money. If you're a gambler, you want to be on his channel because he will talk that. And you don't want to miss that. So make sure you get those likes up, people.
And I appreciate the love, Luke. I really do, man.
Hey, listen. I mean, you were one of the first people that I think I had on when people were, telling me, "Oh, I hate Stafford." I was like, "What are we doing with this? Like, is this what we're doing now? Like, seriously?"
I still am shocked that you got fans up there in Detroit that don't understand that you got one of the best quarterbacks in football. I told you this before we got Mahomes. We had Alex Smith. Now I liked Alex Smith more than most Chiefs fans, but I would have given Alex Smith and 2 number 1s up for Stafford in a heartbeat.
Don't say that, Andrew. Don't say that. People gonna think you crazy. Don't say that, Andrew. They don't understand. They don't understand what a good quarterback looks like, Andrew. Don't do that.
I'm telling you guys, I'm really shocked because now if you know the history of the Lions, I mean, what'd you guys have before Stafford? I mean, what Joey Harrington? I mean, what else was there? I mean, I don't. I'm really surprised.
Joey Harrington came out in an interview and he said that he was told by the coaching staff not to audible a play, and he saw that the play had openings for blitzes to come straight in and make him a target to get hit, and he was told to figure it out. So that lets you know how bad it was for the Lions at one point. So
and another thing is that I thought getting Caldwell for before you got Patricia, I thought Caldwell was a huge mistake.
You and me both. You and me both, man. Now Chief Fan 515 says Chief Keenum is the best. He says good podcast. I like it, man. I appreciate you for being here. We do have the live podcast where I talk to different fans who's facing the Lions and stuff like that. Me and Andrew have collaborated before and talked about it when there's ridiculous idea that the Lions are going to win. How many games? 6.5?
Yeah, 6.5. That's the Vegas over under. And like I said, I break down all 32 teams. And even though I'm a Chiefs fan, if you do go to Andrews Football, I talk all 32 teams. And I broke down all 32 teams. I got the Vegas over under for all 32 teams. And the one team that stood out was the Detroit Lions. Why are they 6.5? Because I mean, you disagree. All right, we disagree. I think the Lions are a 9-10 win team. All right, you think that they're 11 team. I think that there's a chance the Lions are on the outside looking in for the wild card. All right, you got them in the playoffs. All right, I got them on the fence, but they're not a 6.5 win team. I mean that to me,
no way. No way.
So I was like, what? So that's when I contacted you. I'm like, hey, what's the deal with the Detroit Lions here? I'm here in Kansas City. Why is Vegas looking at them like a 6-7 win team? Can you help me out here? And you're like, I don't see it either. So you kind of corroborated what I see is that this Lions team is a team on the rise. I mean, this Lions team is. I'm telling you right now. If you are a Detroit fan, if you're a Lions fan, get excited because the next decade, I think you're going to get used to double-digit wins for the next decade. That's what I see for the future of the Detroit Lions because you guys are doing everything right. I think Patricia's got everything working the right way. Absolutely. I think you're building the team the right way. It's just a matter of time before Hawkinson overtakes Kelsey as the best tight end in football. He's not there yet. I mean, He's not there yet, but 2 or 3 years from now, Hawkinson's going to be the best tight end in football. That's what I see. I think the Lions are going to be a consistent double-digit win team. So, man, get on board now. The Lions got a lot of things going for them, but I don't think they're there yet.
One of the things that I looked at, I just said to myself that if we're going to have certain predictions, you want to make sure the predictions are fair. And that's one of it. I see one of the questions from Kevin Brown is, what's the name of him? This is Andrews Football. He is linked in my description, so make sure you check that out. He is linked in my description. Andrews Football. He talks all 32 teams, but he is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So, that is, we had talked about doing this, and he wanted to come on, and we, had a conversation about what we see in this game and what we should expect from this game. So, I make no mistakes about it, but I think one of the biggest things is this: when we look at this game, tell me the matchup that you're going to see that you're going to be questioning. What is that matchup you're looking for?
All right, I'm going to give you the obvious answer, because this is going to be one of the great chess matches of all time, the Andy Reid offense versus the Matt Patricia defense. One thing about an Andy Reid offense is that things look the same, but he never runs the same play twice in a game. Every single play is completely different. And they confused the Ravens, because we actually lined up for the majority of the first half in 11 personnel. We came out with 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. Then we came out in the second half with 3-4 wide receiver sets, really confused them, put the gas on a little bit. Now keep in mind, we were up by 20 going into the fourth quarter. Then, unfortunately, our defense gave up some plays, made the game a lot closer than it was. But realistically, we should have beat Baltimore by about 14, 17 points. I mean, we were up by 20 going into the fourth quarter.
Right. But so that's that poor defense for you.
That's the thing that's the thing about this defense. And that's a fun thing about this game, because if one team gets up by 14 or 17 points early, it's still a close game. I mean, it's still a close game. Either team can come back. But it's going to be exciting for me, because Matt Patricia, I think, is going to come out with a multifaceted defense. I think you're going to see multiple formations. I think you're going to see multiple sets. He's going to try to outsmart Andy Reid, and he's one of the few coaches that might be able to do it. But the one matchup from a player standpoint, and I already touched base on this, our backup left tackle, Cam Ervin. All right, how is he going to play? Because if he gave up a sack early to Baltimore, then he played pretty well. How is he going to do against Detroit? Because I think the line is almost as good as Baltimore's. You could argue that it's better. I don't know if I would call it better. I don't know, but they're basically on the same level. You're looking at definitely above average defensive line.
Well, I think what you're going to see is the situation where people like Kansas City, when they went against Baltimore, Baltimore had different little things that they employed, but with Detroit, there is no set defense. Like you said, it's going to be a smorgasbord or almost a buffet of different defense that they're going to be facing.
And that's going to be key, because that's what Kansas City does. I mean, you will never see the same play twice. It'll look like they're running the same play. It will look like it, but it's not the same thing. So, I mean, if you're a football junkie like me and you are, you got to love the offensive versus defensive chess match that you're going to see. But the player matchup that I'm really going to focus on is that Kansas City Chiefs left tackle, because if Mahomes gets sacked 4 or 5 times, like, keep in mind, he got sacked early and the Chiefs offensive line fixed it. And we put up 30 and 3/4 against Baltimore, which has a really good defense. All right, which has a really good defense. So that's something that I'm focusing on, because, I mean, let's face it, Mahomes goes down, it's a different team completely.
Absolutely. I mean, the same thing with the Lions. If we lose Stafford, you're talking about a different team as well. So it's one of the things where you got to do it. Now, Kevin Brown said to you, Andrew, he has subscribed to you.
Hey,
so
Kevin,
shout out to you,
that, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, and again, I am on with Andrews Football, who is a well-known football connoisseur. He talks his sports. He talks all 32 teams. He talks point spreads. He talks about the gambling aspect. So if you're a betting man, you definitely want to be on his channel, because you're going to know about those teams. He's willing to put his money where his mouth is. He's not joking. We have 72 people watching, 38 likes. Let's get those likes up, ladies and gentlemen. And so we can show some support and get this in circulation. I wanted to do something different for this matchup because it was huge. And I know that, that this is going to be one of those games that all eyes are going to be on. The sad part is Detroit is in a win-win situation. If Detroit wins the game, guess what? More publicity, more media outlet for them. If Detroit loses the game, guess what? It don't matter. Green Bay just lost to the Eagles, and then they got to play. They got to turn around and play the Cowboys next week, and then go and play the Lions. So they still in a win-win situation. The pressure is a little bit different for Kansas City, in my opinion, because if they lose the game, yeah, they go to 3-1, but they're going to start to go into some of their tougher part of their schedule as well. So what say you to the idea that, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs need to come in and play flawless, play a flawless game as well? I know it's a lot of talk that the Lions got to play flawless, but what say you to the idea that Kansas City got to play flawless?
I don't know if they got to play flawless, but we can't have a C game. I mean, we can't come out there and just throw our helmets out. I was really worried this is going to be a trap game. I was really worried that the Lions are going to be 1-2, and we were going to kind of overlook this game. And the reason why I was worried about that is because next week we play the Colts. Now the Colts aren't the same without Andrew Luck. I don't care if they go 3-1. All right, there's a good chance. I forgot who they play. I want to say I forget who they play off the top of my head. I want to say it's the Raiders, but I predicted a win for them. Even if the Colts are 3-1 coming in Arrowhead, I'm not scared of them. The game after that, the Houston Texans, they're coming in Arrowhead. I'm not scared of them either. So I think that we got 2 wins. And another thing is that we're 2 games up in the West. Thanks for beating the Chargers. This you helped us out big time here. We got.
Oh my God!
We lose this game. I said this to you off the air. Last year, it seemed obvious around October. At least to me, it was October. Maybe it wasn't this way for everybody, but the two best teams in the NFC were the Saints and the Rams, and you knew that's who was going to play in the NFC Championship game. Even if we lose, even if we go 3-1. The AFC Championship game is going to be Chiefs and Patriots. Everybody else doesn't really have a chance. And I know it sounds cocky. I know it sounds
I mean, listen, you deserve to have that level of confidence. I think that's a fair level of confidence. I just think that confidence is going to be burned up on Sunday. But hey, I could be wrong.
Here's the thing. Even if we go 3-1, we got this will be the Chiefs' schedule. 3 of our first 4 games are on the road. After this game, we got 2 games against AFC playoff teams from last year, but they're not. They both took a step back, in my opinion. Both the Colts and the Texans took a step back. I would be shocked if we didn't win those 2 games easily. But and then keep in mind, let's say we're 3-1. At what the Chargers 2-2, and one of your guys yesterday was saying, he was talking about the Chargers. We've won 9 out of the last 10 against the Chargers. We got their number. They got us last year. On Thursday night, but I would be shocked if we didn't go 6-0 against the AFC West. I would be shocked.
Hey, let's switch the gears a little bit. Let's play devil's advocate. I'm gonna join the dark side of the Kansas City Chiefs. You join the dark side of the Lions. Tell me, how does the Detroit Lions win this game against your Kansas City Chiefs? And I'll tell you how the Kansas City Chiefs wins this game against my Detroit Lions.
Oh man, how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs is really easy. You got to run the ball. And the thing is about the Detroit Lions, and you nailed this, is they have a physical, good offensive line. Now I know they haven't got the running game going. All right, they don't have it. You're going to get the running game going. You got to run the ball. And then that sets up Stafford with the play action. You got to score against this team. If you go down and you kick 3 or 4 field goals in this game, you're going to lose. But if you go down, you run the ball, you set up the play action, you guys got weapons. You guys got better weapons than most people think. Most people think the Chiefs got all the weapons. No, the Lions got some weapons. I'm not saying that they don't. Here's how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You run the ball, you play ball control, you score touchdowns, you don't kick field goals because you're going to get points. The question is, are you going to get 7 or are you going to get 3? How you beat the Chiefs, you run the ball. Stafford's got to be on. All right. And Stafford's going to play. Don't forget the injury report. He's going to play. He's going to play. He has to have a big game. You got to run the ball. You got to score touchdowns, not kick field goals. That's how you win.
Yeah, I kind of share that sentiment in terms of how you describe it, but in a different way. For me, Kansas City can win this game if they come off with a fast start. The tale of two halves is what it's going to boil down. First half Kansas City or second half Kansas City. If second half Kansas City come out in the first half, Detroit gonna have a long day. They need to come out in the first half and hit Detroit in the mouth and take the Detroit crowd out of the game. If that crowd can stay in that game going to halftime, I don't care if we going into halftime and we down by 3. That's a huge mistake for you guys going in the second half because you won't be able to hear your farts when it's over with. I promise you, it's gonna be rough. And so one of the things for me is if they can come out fast and establish the run, and on top of establishing the run, forcing Detroit to come up and put people in the box, all that over-the-top bums is going to open up. The mid-game with the tight end is going to open up because they're not asking a lot of your receivers to run those intermediate routes. They're asking them to run deep routes that's going to take a little bit longer time for us to get there. So I think if Kansas City can come out and have the Kansas City who plays in the second half that's scoring, 31 points in the second half, they can have them show up in the first, y'all win this game. Now, again, that's devil's advocate. I stand by my prediction that y'all would not do that.
Okay? Let me ask you something here. Do you have a score prediction?
I do have a score prediction. I actually think that they slow the game down on you guys, and they win 27-20. I got the Lions winning by 7. I think that the lack of communication and the frustration, because the penalties is going to add up on you guys. It's going to be loud in that stadium. I mean, and I'm telling you, I know people get drunk at every place, but nobody gets drunk like Michiganders, okay? When they get drunk, they're drunk, all right? And their voices get real loud and it carries. So for me, I think if we can do that part of it, I think we'll be perfectly fine and creating some confusion for you guys. But again,
I don't know about that. I mean, I was at the game where we set the world's record with 142.2 decibels. I mean, Arrowhead's the loudest crowd in the world. I mean,
but that's not fair though. That's not, y'all stadium is designed for it. We got a dome. Y'all outside. Y'all had sound coming from airplanes. It was a bird flying by. You know, y'all have all these different things.
Hey, we're not like Seattle. We don't need those noisemakers. That's how they originally got the record, was they had noisemakers and they were pumping in sound. No, Arrowhead, we just we just crazy. Right. But that dome stadium and that atmosphere in Detroit's going to be really, really exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, and I do agree. I think that even if you guys get up early, I think that we can come back. I think we can do that, but I think it would be really key to get up to an early lead. Let's eliminate, not just eliminate the crowd, but try to get the Lions away from running the ball. Because if we get up early, make you guys one-dimensional, that's going to cause problems.
Yeah, I think that's the game plan for both teams. I know I read a bunch of y'all newspaper articles and y'all media and the different things Patrick Mahomes said, and he talked about, you know, this idea that you guys want, you know, to make sure that y'all keep us from running the ball, because if that happens, it opens up so many more things for this offense. And the crazy part about it is that we can even have this conversation about this game being so close, so tight, so entertaining, and such a big game for both teams.
Well, me and you talked about this early on. We both thought that this was going to be a close game. I don't think most Chiefs fans see this as it being a close game.
Well, I mean, and it isn't. I think the Chiefs fans who are confident and cocky, like the one Chiefs fan 515, I can't get mad at them. You know, I can't get mad at them based on that. But I can say this: look at the matchups. Take your love of the players out, your love of the teams out, and look at the matchups. When you go across the board, Detroit can match up with your receivers, they can match up with your running backs, and they can match up with your tight ends. What they can't match up with is a quarterback who can go off script like Russell Wilson, but got a bigger arm. That's where the problem comes in at. When you flip it, the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, they went against the Baltimore Ravens, but the Baltimore Ravens ran the ball down their throat, and the quarterback couldn't make enough throws to the receivers to matter. And that's because those receivers are not big.
You nailed that, and I'm going to say something that's going to sound crazy because I know the world loves Lamar Jackson, but I think Stafford's better than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson will make more plays. Facts. And he'll make those plays on ESPN, but if you had to give me a quarterback, give me Stafford or Lamar Jackson. It's Stafford 10 out of 10 times. Give me Stafford any day of the week. But now, don't get me wrong, he's going to make some exciting plays that are going to show up. But I was telling my sister at the game, I was like, look, if you turn Lamar Jackson into a running back, that's going to add up for Kansas City. And if you watch that game, yeah, he made some plays, but his completion percentage was like at 50%. You can't do that and win games, not against good teams.
Absolutely.
Good teams.
Absolutely. Again, I am on with Andrews Football. I'm telling you, he has an amazing channel. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to him. It is linked in my description. You just click on there. You'll see it. Andrews Football, big link. Click it, join it. You're gonna love it. Just off the subject matter. I mean, I'm pretty sure you watched that Green Bay and Eagles game. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, because now Green Bay, all you kept hearing for weeks, upon weeks is how great this defense is to the Green Bay Packers.
It's funny that you say that, because I've been on social media trying to tell people that this Green Bay Packers isn't really a top 10 defense. Yeah, they had a couple good weeks, but this defense, people are acting like this is the 85 Bears. I was like, no, this isn't that good of a defense. Just watch. Yeah, they had a couple good weeks. This Packers defense is maybe above average, but I don't think they're even a top 10 defense.
Yeah, and the offense has been slow.
And that's another thing, is that Rodgers doesn't seem – I know he had like 430, 440 yards. He doesn't seem to be that comfortable in this offense. It almost seems like there's an issue with the head coach and Rodgers. And then let me throw something out way left field. Is there a chance that Rodgers plays for another team? Remember, Favre ended up in Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem with that is going to be he would have to rework his contract, because right now that contract is ridiculous. So, but it's always a possibility with them, and I'm sure that they're going to be looking for a backup in other people, seriously. So,
hey, don't be surprised if Green Bay drafts a quarterback.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
We got talk during draft, because I remember you nailed Hawkinson back in February. I love that, man.
Listen, I've already started my investigation for who the Lions is going to pick for this upcoming draft in the first round.
I started looking at mock drafts myself. I've already looked at dozens of mock drafts.
You know what? Believe it or not, I never look at the mock draft. I listen to I look at what our general manager, head coach, and what the weaknesses of the teams are. And when I look at the weaknesses of the team, and then I match that up to what the coaches and the general manager is saying, and that's how I'm able to follow the breadcrumbs and figure it out. So last year with Hawkinson, the Detroit Lions made literally 6 attempts to trade for a tight end before they end up getting a deal done with New England for Rob Gronkowski, who then threatened to retire had he been traded. So that fell through. Then they took around and picked up, I counted 5 tight ends in free agency, swapping them in and out, trying to find a tight end. Then there was an interview where nobody asked the general manager or the head coach about the tight end position, and they went on, with tight ends, we're looking for guys with their hands in the dirt. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Nobody ever asked you that question. Nobody asked you that.
Man, so this is why I love following you, because you followed the breadcrumbs and you nailed the pick, and you nailed it in February. I should have put some money on it, because there was a Vegas over-under on Hawkinson, 9.5. Is he going to go over? Is he going to go under? If I would have listened to you, I would have made some money.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of the things where I started doing my investigation, but I have to narrow it down. The final piece of me getting that pick is where we draft, that draft position, and then that lets me know who are the top targets. I can tell you right now, of the top targets right now, I do not have them targeting an offensive line. I've said this before. I actually got them targeting a cornerback, or a defensive lineman, like a pass rusher. Those are the 2 positions right now that's standing out based on interviews that I've heard. And so you stay tuned. You'll be knowing what to put that money on when it comes time to predicting who the Lions are going to take.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised you didn't say linebacker, to be honest with you.
Nope. Nope. You got to look at the possibilities of the free agent linebackers who's going to be out there. So there's a lot of different moving parts that I put together to figure this out. So but like I said, stay tuned. I'm still doing my research, man. I can't be no chump.
Follow you, and if you, and I'm gonna pimp out my channel here just for a bit here. When the draft comes, I'm gonna break down all 32 teams. I'm gonna do my own mock draft. Last year, I did an individual video for all 32 teams, talking about what the likes of what I don't like about the team and where they're going to draft.
And it was good videos. It was good videos. I was retweeting a bunch of them. They were coming faster than I can keep up. But
yeah, I got the Lions wrong, man. I had them going offensive line. I feel bad now, man. I messed up.
No, it's all good. Kool-Aid and Cornbread says, "What site do you use to gamble?"
Now, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm kind of in a minority here. I like going to Vegas. All right, and the reason why is that as far as gambling goes, and I cannot preach this enough, and I'm gonna try to keep this short, but money management and discipline. All right. That's why I try to avoid getting online, because you may watch this video and you may hear Luke G and Luke G sound good. And you may say, hey, man, I want to put some money on the Lions this week. You know, don't make snap judgments. That's why I like going to Vegas. But if you got the discipline, you can try some online sites. I don't do it personally, so I can't make a recommendation. But if you do any sort of online betting, man, be smart about it. Don't be betting your rent check. All right. Be smart about it. Gambling's addictive. All right. I worked at a casino for several years. I used to be a blackjack dealer. I can sit here and I can talk for hours about some of the stories about people that don't need to be in a casino. So, you know, I call it a burn fund. All right. And the reason why I call it a burn fund is that when I gamble, it's money I can light on fire and throw it away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me do this for you. Tell those people who may not have been subscribed to your channel, tell them what they can expect from your channel.
Oh man, listen, hey, right now I got a show. I do a review on Tuesday, and then I do my prediction show on Friday. And just I'm tell you what, because Luke's nice enough to let me come on the show, I'm going to give you my prediction here. I'm going to give you a game to put action on, the #1 game I'd recommend putting action on. And the reason why I'm going to let you guys in on this is because it's NFC North game. I love the Vikings this week in Chicago. Okay. That's the game I would put action on. And me and you talked about this. Chicago don't look right. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate here, but I actually think the Vikings are going to win that NFC North division this year.
Uh-oh.
Man, I might going to kick off now.
Listen, I love it. I want more people to say it, because guess what? We gonna have to prove it, and I think we will prove it. I think we win that division, man. Glad I was able to get you on and do this with you, man. You know, it's always a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for letting me come on, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not, please make sure you subscribe to Andrews Football. It is linked in my description, as well as my other DSA members channels. They are also linked, so make sure you subscribe to them. And on top of that, if you have not subscribed to me, make sure you subscribe to me. I do talk Detroit Lions football, but I talk football. So if you come on there and you want to talk football, or your team is matching up with my team, or you want to just pop in and ask a question from an outside source, trust me, I will answer that question. Andrew, you got any final thoughts you want to give to people?
Hey, man, I'm saying, I will say this, though. I said this on my other video. As far as this game is concerned, I would not recommend betting on this game with the 10-foot pole. But if you do got to bet on this game, the over-under is 54.5. I think it's going to be a close, high-scoring game. Take the over.
Hey, and there you have it, man. I like to leave you with a little bit of a positive note. So here I give you a piece of good news. If you are in a good place, be proud. If you are in a bad place, be proud to know that you are heading towards a good place. You can only be down for so long. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, don't be no chump. Please do your research.